How does a character's design depict their sense of morality? A character's appearance is the personification of their personality, an illustration that acts as a thread, linking aesthetic and narrative, a war-torn body riddled with scars, the semblance of a face on the fabric of a risque school uniform, weathered metallic limbs. Visual components such as these not only inform the audience of a character's personality and background, but also provide contextual evidence regarding a story's genre, tone, and themes. The way in which a character design introduces a dualistic narrative becomes particularly evident in anime where a character experiences some degree of aesthetic evolution, whether it be from a time skip, outfit change, injury, or simply cutting their hair. In the Kizumonogatari trilogy, Oshino Shinobu undergoes several transformations. Her differently aged forms act as visual signifiers that can represent something as straightforward as plot progression, in addition to more complex concepts like the growing sinister intent of a bloodthirsty oddity. But how? How can modifying the look of a character alter our interpretation of their moral alignment? What is it about appearance that can define virtue? Just as literature uses symbolism to give objects a deeper meaning with representative qualities, character design uses shape and color in a similar way. Shapes are design elements that are capable of eliciting a subconscious emotional response through intrinsic socio-environmental constructs. Circles are interpreted as positive and friendly. They're a non-threatening shape that can signify comfort or even love. Squares are seen as dependable, stable, and sturdy, symbolizing fortitude. Triangles often signify power, aggression, and chaos. They're a dynamic shape that corresponds with a human's natural caution of sharp objects. These ideals are universally represented all around us in nature, logos, architecture, and especially animation. Shape language is not a groundbreaking concept. It's a fundamental practice used in the world of character design. However, the practice of utilizing shapes to visualize personality traits becomes much more engaging when creating multiple iterations of the same character. Unlike developing a character purely through the means of a traditional narrative, a character with multiple forms is granted a unique opportunity to be characterized by an underutilized type of visual storytelling. Kizumonogatari excels at characterizing Shinobu almost entirely through her appearance. Shinobu's evolutions contrast one another in shape and color, contributing to the meaning behind her designs. In Kizumonogatari, we're first introduced to Shinobu in her kiss-shot form, sans limbs. The portrayal of this revered mythological entity in an utterly helpless position acts as a thematic precursor to the dynamic of the trilogy where power is represented through appearance. Ironically, this concept is introduced to us by juxtaposing one of the strongest Monogatari characters in a state of emotional turmoil. Kiss-shot, after being rejected and thrown aside by Araragi in a fit of shock and fear, thrashes about in anguish as a baby's cry resonates throughout the desolate subway station. Ultimately, overcome by his inherent nature to do what's right, Araragi accepts his fate as an anime protagonist and decides to sacrifice himself in order to save Kiss-shot. Later, to his surprise, Araragi wakes up. Not only is he alive, but the creature he saved has reverted to a much more adorable form. A form bearing a strong resemblance to our familiar Bakemonogatari design, which we actually get a brief glimpse of at the end of the films. But why create an additional iteration of young Shinobu? Why not use the existing design from Bakemono to demonstrate the loss of her power? Despite the fact that the two iterations are presumably equally powerless, the Shinobu we meet at the beginning of Kizumonogatari is not the same Shinobu as she is at the beginning of Bakemonogatari. Shinobu's form doesn't only dictate her strength, but her mental state as well. If design is deliberate, what is appearance aside from an amalgamation of experiences? At this point in the film, Shinobu is, as far as the audience is concerned, innocent. Shinobu's child form in Kizu is the most rounded of all her designs. The curve of her bangs introduces a circular quality to her face. Additionally, the roundness of her eyes are most prominent as a child, as we later see her eyes progressively narrow as she approaches adulthood. This design highlights her cute and naive appeal. It's a design that's suited for lighthearted moments. The simplicity of the design allows her to easily transition into stylized comedic scenes. Many qualities of Shinobu's Bakemonogatari design were maintained in order for us to quickly understand that this is in fact the Shinobu we know and love. And as we examine the qualities that have changed, it's easy to comprehend how this form demonstrates a shift in ideals between the two forms. The most evident quality that remained the same is color. Shinobu's dull muted pink color palette reflects her desire to imitate the rich vampiric red of her adult outfit. This washed out pink appears to be an imitation of red, similar to how most of Shinobu's actions are merely an imitation of her previous self, such as her attempt to maintain a high and mighty personality. On the other hand, the most prominent feature that was altered is her hairstyle, a hairstyle that clearly nurtures aggressive characteristics. Shinobu, without having experienced the traumatic outcome of the events about to transpire, has no reason to harbor any malice towards Araragi and be depicted as sinister. Shinobu's first transformation towards her original form occurs in Kizu Part 2 after the defeat of the first vampire hunter and retrieval of a leg. Regardless of its simplicity, this preteen form seems to be her most unique design, only vaguely referencing the concept of her white dress seen in Kizumonogatari. This loose-fitting version of the dress, and her slightly altered physical attributes, reflect Shinobu's new attitude as well as foreshadow her underlying antagonistic nature in the films. We're introduced to this new form in silence. She glances at Araragi, giving him an aloof and rebellious stare, followed by a free-spirited ballerina twirl before finally sticking out her tongue, as if to reassure us her mischievousness is still there. The traits used to describe Shinobu's personality in this instance can be used to describe her appearance as well. Her hair, tucked behind pointed ears, faintly curls upward, hinting at the iconic kiss shot triangular curls. Her bangs, previously rounded, now feature a pointed part, giving a once defenseless design a sharp or threatening attribute. The transparency of her white dress, weakly sewn together, emits an ethereal aura surrounding her, accentuating her small, frail body. She's barely clothed, making her appear incomplete. Unlike the pink clothing that impersonates power, the purity of her white dress is more representative of a genuine first step towards retrieving her vampiric abilities. Later in Kizu Part 2, Shinobu transforms again, aging from a preteen into a teenager. Finally, true vampiric qualities begin to emerge. The first use of red occurs in Shinobu's seductive high heels and gloves that creep up her arms, wildly flaring outward. The upward progression of dark to light color help convey the idea of rising strength as the red on her hands and feet evoke the feeling of power being within reach. Her hair tied back in a ponytail is an element that portrays a slight hint of immaturity, as if to once again reassure us that this girl who we're growing up with has a shred of innocence, a human trait. This design seems to be a fusion of existing elements from each of Shinobu's forms. The ruffled pattern from her pants as a child, the prominent white color of her preteen dress, and a tinge of red for what's about to come in her final form. Shinobu's outfit, composed of remnants of her younger self, almost bastardized what they've once signified when worn on the body of a more mature woman, as if telling us a sinister intent was inside this oddity all along, but we were blinded by beauty. Kiss Shot, Shinobu's final form, is what a vampire should look like. She's mature, sexy, elegant, and could effortlessly destroy you. A rich, violent red dominates her design. Wicked black tendrils jet out from her dress, indicating uncontainable power and murderous intent. Her long, angelic blonde hair shrouds her in an authoritative atmosphere, intensely contrasting her dark presence. She is devoid of innocent qualities. From her fingertips to her smile, the entirety of her design is sharp and villainous. Kiss Shot emanates danger. And after one of the most hilariously gruesome fight scenes in anime, that power is taken away. The evolution of Shinobu's character design is artistically and narratively captivating. It's an expressive merging of visual and literary information. As her design morphs and evolves, so do her vampiric ideologies, contradicting those of Araragi in tandem. Characters don't arbitrarily grow. They grow alongside their beliefs and experiences. Shinobu is a creature who can't oppose her violent nature, but with no alternative, she's forced to share an existence with Araragi, which creates a sense of moral balance, even if it means both live a shackled existence. Good character design is aesthetically pleasing. Meaningful character design acts as a form of nonverbal communication. The world of anime is saturated with nonsensical, overly detailed designs striving to stand out while failing to see what's truly important. A character's convictions, their personal philosophy of good and evil, right and wrong, has the potential to be communicated to the audience purely through design. Voice acting, sound design, animation. Anime is comprised of many underappreciated facets that are expected to go unnoticed, be unquestioned, and simply work. It's only until we question something's purpose that we can understand and appreciate how it contributes to the overall story. A character's design dictates how they interact and live within their environment. A character's design is something we can grow attached to, admire, even idolize. A character's design can be the symbol that emotionally connects us to a series, but more than anything, a character's design can tell a story.